Hello everyone, my name is Sina, and today I would like to do the A to J tag, which is the first time that I've actually been officially tagged by the lovely Roz at Scandaldendling about the books. I knew I would struggle with that word. Yeah, anyway, thank you very much for the tag. This tag was originally created by Jim at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff, which is a channel that I have only just now found through this tag. So I'm very glad, I'm very grateful for that, because I watched one of his older videos about the inalienable rights of the reader, which I thought was just very, very lovely. Anyway, let's just get into it. Oh, by the way, if anything happens with... There's the little cat ears. There we go. So if anything happens with the camera, it's probably because of the cat. Yep, there we go. Okay, anyway, so let's get into the actual tag questions. Number 1, A, is for author. Which author have you read the most of? And this is a question that I initially struggled with, and until it just sort of fell from, I don't know how you say it, until it just came to me, like this revelation. It's like, it's really easy. It was staring me right in the face. It's Terry Pratchett, of course. Not because I don't like other authors, but because this one I started reading when I was like 15 or something, and is one of the few ones that I've never gone off of. He's such comfort reading for me, but he's also, you know, he's witty, he's funny, and I felt like the older he got, or the further that he went on in his series, the more he also commented on, you know, social issues and so on, and it was always sort of mixed with this, you know, witty humor that I love. So definitely Terry Pratchett. I haven't counted all of the books there, but there's already 2 horizontal stacks of his paperbacks, and then there's several other ones on the side, and plus that is I haven't even counted all the ebooks I have of him, and the German translation one. Sorry, the cats were apparently starving, you know, for the last 5 minutes or so, so I just went and fed them so they wouldn't keep trying to knock things over. Anyway, so Terry Pratchett, love him to bits. Started reading him in German, now I'm reading him in English, and I'm slightly afraid of actually getting to reading his last book, because there's not going to be any more, you know. Well, what are you going to do? Okay, number 2, B, is for Black History Month. What are you reading for Black History Month? I've just talked about it in the last video. The one that I wanted to start really soon is James Baldwin's Another Country, and then I also have actually I am reading this sort of very slowly, this one, which is A Portable Paradise by Roger Robertson, which is a poetry collection, so I'm just reading a couple of poems every so often. And then as a last thing, I might want to go and read Toni Morrison, and this is Bluest Eye by her. We'll see if I get to it or not, whether I have time for it or not, because I'm sometimes quite slow with this reading thing. Okay, number 3, C is for current. What are you currently reading? Also just talked about it, Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. Still haven't gotten very much further since the last video, to be honest. But I'm planning to do that later today. D is for drink. What is your drink of choice while reading? All sorts, either coffee or tea. In the evening, I very much enjoy a glass of wine, particularly red. But yeah, I guess I'm equal opportunity drinker. Whatever drink strikes my fancy in the moment. Okay, number 5, ebook or physical. The nostalgia in me says physical, not just nostalgia. I also prefer annotating in physical books to ebooks. Couldn't really tell you why. apart from the fact that I find an e-reader incredibly slow to react when you're typing. Of course, that also has its pros, of course. But anyway, yeah, so the nostalgic in me wants paper, definitely. But e-readers are so handy, aren't they? Especially if you're, if you're traveling, clearly, then also even just, if you're not carrying a large backpack or something, this thing fits into even my coat pocket, at least in my winter coat, and it fits in my handbag really easily. I can have thousands of books with me, and huge tomes all of a sudden don't seem that intimidating, because they're all contained in this little thing. So, and then on top of it, my husband's a very light sleeper. So having the ability to read most of the time, without waking him is amazing. And, that's because of the backlit screen. I bought my second e-reader, the Paperwhite thing. I'd had an older version before, and I bought that one even though the old one was perfectly fine, just for that feature, which I don't normally do. Usually my electronic devices are used until they literally sort of die a slow death. But this one, I had to have it, and I'm still very glad. So I'm torn. I read them both, and I like them both for different reasons. Number 6, favorite fictional, no, he said fictitious character. Found this incredibly difficult, but not like other readers, not because of for reasons that other readers have brought up, like, there's too many. I don't seem to get overly attached to characters, or maybe my memory's too bad. But I saw Margaret Pienaar talk about how she's going to stick to the whole fictitious as opposed to fictional, and then I thought, I do very much like this one. And he is kind of not only fictional, he at least at some point also had a fictitious character, and that is Moist van Lipwijk. Ooh, something falling out of here. Moist van Lipwijk in Terry Pratchett's Going Postal, and also in Making Money. So he's this con artist, and in the beginning we meet him under a different name. And he is then forced to basically make the choice between being hanged or, returning to his life, to a life with his real name, which is Moist van Lipwijk, which is, in my opinion, an amazing name. And get the postal office running again. Yeah, that's how we meet him. And then the story ensues, and I think he's brilliant. He's funny and witty. Like I said, he used to be a con man. So he's clearly, he's clever. But he's also got, underneath it all, he's got a heart of gold, and he gets stuff done. Plus, he respects his woman. So, what's not to love? Anyway, next, number 7, Georgia. Well, do you know any famous Georgians? That is, Georgia the country, not the state. Like most other people, I was like, yes, darling. No, I don't. I did not. So I went and Googled and had a look at what famous people are from Georgia. And there were a lot of sports personalities, like footballers and other athletes, which I didn't want to claim because I had never heard of them, because I don't follow sports. But one that really surprised me was Katie Melua. Apparently she was born there. I mean, she did then move to Britain as a child, but she was born in Georgia. So I found that one out. Thank you. Okay, number 8. H is for horror. Is there a book that really scared you? Now, I don't read horror that much. We talked about this in the first video about the whole, I don't really know what all belongs into horror, but I don't think I read many of the books that would classically be defined as horror, that's for sure. And I don't think books tend to scare me that much. However, the one thing that I kept thinking about when thinking about this question was something that made me incredibly uncomfortable, and it was rather unpleasant to read. And that was a book I read as a teenager when I think it had just come out, and it was quite a scandalous thing. And apparently it was also, I looked it up now because I couldn't even remember the title. Apparently it was also, you know, a bestseller because of the scandal. And it was, I've forgotten again what it was called. It was an Italian book written by a teenage, so she was like 16 or something when she wrote it. And it was, I think the translation in English was something called like 100 brushes before bed or something like that. Something along those lines. And it's basically diary entries, it's auto-fiction, supposedly, of this girl who is 14 years old at the beginning of the story, and she basically describes a lot of her sexual encounters that get more extreme and more sort of I don't know, uncomfortable to read about. You know, as the longer the book goes on, and basically it's just, it made me feel so uncomfortable, not because of the actual sex that was described, but because she is being used and she is, you know, trying to find some sort of love and, you know, some form of self-worth in like the worst men possible. It's just so depressing to read. Yeah, and she's not enjoying it. Most of the descriptions do not sound like she's enjoying anything. She's just being used, and she keeps doing it. And it's not just asshole teenagers who are doing this to her. It's also, you know, men who are child predators. So it's an all-round unpleasant read. And I remember as a 16-year-old just thinking, ugh, I don't know, was I, I think 16? Maybe I was 18, I can't remember. But, you know, like a teenager still, it was like, ooh, you know, I was clearly not clued up about everything, and I also made stupid decisions, but my goodness, that, yeah, no, I definitely had more, you know, self-esteem than that, and it was just depressing to read about. Maybe it's good as a cautionary tale? No, I'm not sure if it is. There's probably better ones out there. So that one is my best answer. And I can't even remember the author's name, but then again, I'm also not recommending it. Okay, number 9. I is for, I don't know, Italy, India, Ireland, intelligent, whatever you like. So, being the uncreative person that I am, I'm picking Italy. Had one other idea, but I'm picking Italy anyway. Not because I've read so much from Italy, but because Italian is the one European language that I would very much like to learn. And I have not made much progress with it. So first of all, I love traveling there. I live in the south of Germany, so I'm quite close to Italy, really. You know, I can take a train and be in Venice in like 6-7 hours? Can't remember. Something like that. And, you know, it's just such a beautiful place. The language sounds so poetic. The food is amazing. And if I actually learned it properly, which, let's face it, it's probably not going to happen, I could read all of these lovely books in, you know, the original. One of which would be, which I still haven't read, is Dante's Inferno. I mean, clearly I need to follow along with Tom L.A. Books. Is that the channel name? I think that it is. Series. I've only just heard about it, but yeah, I picked this up a while ago and have not read it yet. So, man, wouldn't that be amazing to be able to read it in the original? It just sounds fantastic. The other one that is also still on my to-read list is The Leopard. This is a German translation, obviously, Der Leopard. But yeah, I'm very excited for this, to read this at some point as well, because I've read a few passages of this when I was in Sicily by my professor, and they were amazing, so I had to have it. And lastly, Italo Calvino. What is that called in English again? If a traveler on a winter's night? Should be, yeah. Wenn ein Reisender in einer Winternacht. Yeah, that's the one. So these are the 3 I picked from my shelves that I still haven't read, and I think it would be that much more amazing if I could actually read in the original. But alas, I'm gonna have to do with German and English translations. Okay, and Jay, what book have you just finished? Also just talked about it, so just quickly, Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh. Yeah, and the last thing to do is to tag people. And since this is the very first tag that I was tagged in, I thought I should go ahead and tag those people that were so lovely in my first video, especially the smaller booktubers who were so welcoming and subscribed to me and so on and so forth. So without further ado, here are 4 names of people that I've only just discovered through making my first video. That would be Kit at Kit's World, then Margaret Pinar, then Laura at Laura Reads Pages, and Michelle Lexi. And then as my last tag, I would like to tag the person who helped me the most in terms of encouragement to actually go ahead and publish the first video, and that would be Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse. I don't know if any of these people have done the tag or not, but let's see, right? Okay, have a lovely rest of your week or day whenever you're watching this, and please let me know in the comments what you thought of my answers, or if you have any better answers for this tag. Okay, bye-bye. You meowing? Are you meowing at me? Are you starving? Thanks very much. Am I gonna have to cut all this? Probably.